Hey guys, this is a guide on the marathon mode that was added into the game in patch 15, so you will end up noticing that some of the new tasks do mention using a transit from one location to another, and this is going to be possible from this new marathon game mode. So to access the marathon mode, then you will have to select Escape from Tarkov and then select your PMC and next just as normal. And then once you do come to a map of all locations to pick where you do want to go, then up in the top right corner is going to be a red marathon text with a flame next to it. Now, if you do select this, then it will change the dots on the screen to now being red instead of white. And then you also cannot select a specific map to raid into. It will automatically choose Ground Zero for you as the first option. And then you will hit next, and then it will ready you up like normal where you can insure your kit, etc. Now, some things to know about this mode is that if you do want to follow along and do it in its entirety, then you will not be going back to your stash at all, so do plan accordingly by bringing in some food and all the markers that you will need if you are planning to mark things like the sightseeing task as you go. And you will also have to bring in a labs access keycard if you were planning to go to every single area in order to get the achievement, which they will not tell you until you do actually load into the second map, which is going to be Streets, which then it will conveniently say up in the top right corner that you do need a labs access keycard after you've already done one. Now you should also bring in money with you because you will get a 3x4 area to send items back to your stash in between maps, similar to how the BTR works. But if you did happen to forget money, then you will still be able to travel from map to map. You just won't be able to send any items back to your stash. They will just end up staying on your PMC, and then they will go from map to map with you, but they will retain their found in raid status. So from what I can tell about this marathon mode is that you do load into a normal PvP raid. You just happen to be doing this marathon game mode within a game. And you can still go and do all your tasks as normal, but with that being said, I wouldn't bother going out of your way to do any other tasks that require you to retrieve and hand in something, since you won't end up going and seeing your traders to hand this item in for quite a while. But you can always just extract normally if you did want to, but just know that that will cancel the marathon mode and also any progress that you do have towards it, and then you will have to start back over at Ground Zero all over again. It is also worth mentioning that if you do happen to die, then you will also have to go back to Ground Zero and start all over again. Now, another thing to mention is that you will have 9 areas that you do have to visit for the achievement, which is called Marathon. And for this, you will have to visit all locations in one single raid, starting with Ground Zero and then ending on Shoreline, but it will require you to go to Streets of Tarkov twice, once from Ground Zero and then also once from the lab. So because you will be on the same map twice, you will have to make sure that you do this in a specific order if you did want to get the achievement. Because if you don't do that, then you won't end up being able to hit everything that is required to get the achievement. So the correct order would be going to Ground Zero and then Streets, and then from Streets to Labs, and then from Labs back to Streets, and then from Streets to Interchange. And then it will continue on as normal since you only then have one option to choose from there on out. Now another option is that if you didn't end up bringing in a Labs access card with you because you didn't know that you had to until you were already on Streets of Tarkov, then you can just continue messing around on the marathon mode and kind of getting your feet wet with it. And then you can just skip labs altogether and then just continue on to Interchange and then just try and figure out what exactly that this game mode is all about. But just know that if you do select Interchange first, you will then be locked into the rest of the other maps. So now when you do load into a raid, as mentioned, it does seem like it's a normal PvP raid and not a bunch of people all doing this marathon mode. So you will end up having a new transit extract that will show up as red with a timer counting down from 7 minutes. And you will be able to see this anytime that you do double tap O. And as you watch this, once the timer does get down to 0, then the transit extract text will turn to orange. And then after about 10 more seconds, then you can walk into the area where you can use the transit, and then you will get a prompt to interact with it. At this time, it will give you the ability to transfer items back to your stash if you did bring in money, or you can always just bypass this and then wait for the orange text to count down on your screen, which will then extract you and immediately load you into your next map. And then it will start to load you onto a new raid for the next map, and it will be the same premise for each map that you do travel to, which is that it will be a regular PvP raid at the start of a raid, so you will not be coming in middle way through any raids on any of the new maps. And then you will have a new transit extraction at the start of each raid that will be locked for 7 minutes. But just so you guys know, it will be enabled for the entirety of the raid after the first 7 minutes, so you do not have to rush there and take it immediately once it's available. And you will still have all the gear from your previous raid that you had on, as well as anything else that you looted that you didn't send back to your stash, and anything else that you did loot will still have the found in raid status. And now I will show you guys the locations of the transit zones for each map. And just so you guys know, it is the same locations that you did have to mark for the sightseeing skier task. So on Ground Zero, it is in the west part of the map by the green flare extract. So my PMC is here in a raid looking towards the big Terror Group building. Then the green flare extract is just here to my left. And then where we do have to use the transit is just over here at these 2 large orange trucks. So now moving on to streets, and as mentioned, there is going to be 2 locations here to choose from, but technically you will have to go to labs first if you did want to complete the achievement. So that transit will be next to the cosmonaut or astronaut building, and my PMC is here at the end of the Klimov streets, and the expo extract is just going to be here to my left. Now as we do turn around and then start heading down this road, then the red museum will be on my right, and directly across from that is a green building with an alleyway through it. Once we do get through this alleyway, then you do want to take a right, and then you will see a door at the end of this building facing you. You do want to go down these stairs all the way to the end where you will find another closed door, and you can interact with this and start the transit countdown. So now once we get onto labs, then we will have to go to the elevator on the first level behind the dome and in between the 2 dark offices. So my PMC is here in a raid. The dome is going to be just on my left here as I come down these stairs. So you do want to take a right where we will be underneath and in between the 2 dark offices. And then over here just on our left is where the open elevator will be, where we can go to use the transit. So now that we're back on streets, this time we want to go to the Interchange transit, which we will be going just next to the crash site PMC extract. So my PMC is here in a raid next to the crash site helicopter. As I do turn around and start heading over to this opposite corner from the helicopter, once you do get past this trash and dumpster, then this is where you will get a prompt to interact for this transit. So now moving on to Interchange, where we do have to go is this completely useless corner of the map on the highway. So my PMC is here on the highway, and off in the distance then you can see the Ollie store. You can also see the Ultramall sign here just in front of me, and then more to the left down here is where the scav camp on the highway is. So as we do turn around, then you do want to keep to the left side of these guardrails and then head over here to the Rebel and train cars, and then you will get a prompt to interact here. So now moving on to customs, where we do have to go is by the old gas station. So my PMC is here in a raid at the old gas station area, and just to my left is one of the tankers that we do have to mark for the BP depot task that you do get later on. And then to the left of that, in the corner where nobody ever goes, is this large metal door. So once we do go up to this door, then you will end up getting a prompt to interact and then start the transit. So now moving on to factory, where we do have to go is the newly added area in behind the offices, and it will be in the new courtyard gate extract. So my PMC is here in a raid on the newly updated factory map, and just in front of us is still the offices area. Now as we do go in through the front left door, then you do want to go into your first door on your right and then go around this desk where you can vault through the window and then into this back outside zone, which I'm assuming is going to be called the courtyard. And then in the back right corner will be a truck and a partially open gate, and this is where you can go to interact with the transit. So now moving on to woods, the area that we will have to go to is at the southern part of the map at the Ruaf roadblock extract. So my PMC is here in a raid looking down towards the medical camp, and just behind me you can see the green smoke for the Ruaf roadblock because it is open in this raid. But just so you guys know, the smoke won't always be here. But as you do walk up to the wall, then you will get a prompt to interact with this transit. So now on to reserve, where we do have to go to use the transit will be behind the armored train building at the edge of the map by a sign. My PMC is here in a raid on reserve, and the armored train building, also called the White Rook, is right here. And as we do turn around, you do want to go in through this hole in the barbed wire and then take a left, where you will end up coming to a sign just before another opening. And you will end up getting a prompt to interact with the transit by the sign itself or at the opening of the gate just to the left. And now moving on to Lighthouse, where we do have to go to use the transit, will be just next to the path to Shoreline extract at the enclosed trailer. So my PMC is here in a raid, and then the village is going to be just ahead of me, and then to my left over here is where the path to Shoreline extract is located. So where we do have to go is just over here to the right of this extract up towards this enclosed trailer. And you will actually get a prompt to interact here on this trailer or just next to it, and then you will have to wait for the timer to bring you to your last location. And now once you get to Shoreline, then there was no transit or other special location for us to mark, so I am assuming that once you do get to Shoreline, then you can just survive an extract by using the normal extracts. And then you will finish the marathon mode and also get your achievement. However, if I am incorrect in assuming this and there is something else that you do need to do, then I will update this guide, but firstly I will post a pinned comment in noting the proper steps down below in the comment section. So hopefully this guide did help you guys to understand the marathon mode and potentially get yourself the new achievement. Thank you guys for checking out my guide on this, and I hope that you have a fantastic rest of your day.